Let's start. Okay.
All right, here we are. If you want to pan the room, we've got a few people here driving through the snow. Thanks for coming. We're so glad that you're here. Detox people, did you survive your week?
We survived. It wasn't that bad.
Yay. Thanks for coming, Crystal. Didn't say hi to you yet. Thanks, Denise.
Crystal.
All right, so welcome Facebook Live. Welcome everybody who came from work and has taken the time out tonight. I know it's a busy week, isn't it? On Facebook, this is Thanksgiving week for those of us who are gathered here. And we know that life starts to spin up about right now, doesn't it? And so what happens is when we get busier, we steal time from food preparation, right? So have you found that it's a little bit easier to go to the grocery store, cut up your fruits and vegetables, buy a couple of meals worth of groceries, and be prepared for the week? Are you doing that? Anybody want to share how that's going for you? Is that a new concept to you? Is that something that's hard? How's that working for you?
It definitely makes it easier to eat good. I mean, it's almost like you have to, otherwise it's not going to go good.
Right. Have you found yourself yet in that panic moment where
Yeah.
I didn't prep?
We were just saying we had made that egg bake
Yep.
in the previous weeks, but this week we didn't, and so it was more like raw veggies in the morning, which aren't that great in the morning, to be honest. So
These girls are going.
Yeah.
You know. Yes. But
How many of you have just used maybe some shredded carrots, cut up celery, in a pan and warmed it up? There's just something about a warm breakfast that is so much more appealing on a cold 4-degree morning than a cold carrot and celery stick. Are you with me? So, Denise, I know you make some great veggie hash. Do you have any suggestions?
Well, I tell you what, I just cut up my mushrooms and green peppers and onions and have them in the fridge ahead of time. And this last time, I bought some of that in the bag already shredded. It was more carrots than broccoli. You know, usually it's the broccoli. But
sometimes it doesn't
this
focus.
time
It
was like
keeps
the
bouncing
carrots
like
and
that.
broccoli,
That's fine.
which is a little bit sweeter, you know, kind of. So I did both of those, which is really handy to have on. And so I just, if I have them cut up, I will use them and throw them in, and then just throw some fresh spinach on the top.
And there's
I don't like that cooked.
Yeah, there's something magic about cold and hot together. So let's say you made a chopped salad, okay? There's nothing wrong with, sometimes this might sound weird to you, but I'll like take a heated up turkey chili and put it on top of my cold salad. Or I'll saute some veggies like artichokes, and I like carrots, mashed stick carrots sauteed, and I'll artichoke and carrot sauteed on top of a cold salad. And the mixture and contrast on your tongue is very appealing. Okay?
You've mentioned turkey chili before, but how does that work without beans or what?
So you're going to use the hamburger, and you're going to have your tomato base, right? You're going to use the chili seasoning, like chili powder. Everything but the beans in this 2 weeks.
Okay.
So it becomes a little bit more like, it's not like Sloppy Joe's. It'd be very runny Sloppy Joe, but it's like a tomato-based soup that has a heartiness to it, right? Okay. And you certainly, when the turkey's ground, it makes you think it's beef instead of turkey. Sure. Wouldn't you just agree? There's something weird when you change the form of the meat. It takes on a different connotation in your mind. So you can trick your mind a little bit. Now, how many of you used to like chili with maybe some cheese on top? Okay? So take your matchstick carrots and throw them on top of the chili. Now you're getting a little bit of crunch in your chili. Have you ever tried chopping up an avocado or put avocado slivers on top of your chili? The cold and the hot together, right? I find that that's very appealing visually as well as the crunch and the taste, okay? So try that. What are some other things we could combine together? Have you missed your salad dressing yet over your salad? This is where you could take maybe strawberries or oranges and actually kind of mash them up and take the drizzle, the juice, mix it with your own vinegar, and you're actually making your own salad dressing then to taste, right? We were just visiting Ann and TJ, thank you. We're just here. TJ lost 9 pounds and Ann lost 8. Thank you. And massive inches lost in their neck, 1.5 inches, I believe, in TJ's neck, which is remarkable. Anne lost 3 inches around her waist, or her under chest, which is her stomach area, and 2 inches around her waist. So again, when that happens, we're noting that that's just not weight loss, that's inflammation loss. I mean, literally, her size changed dramatically in 7 days. Do you not think that's almost remarkable?
Yeah.
So I want you to think about the stress on the body. TJ shared with us that, you know, there's some history of heart disease in his family. And I hope, TJ, don't mind me talking about you, but it's relative because the #1 killer in America today is heart disease, okay? So even though it was difficult for them changing their habits, which would you agree, my detox girls, how was it changing your habits this week?
Yeah, it's hard.
The mental change, for starters, you're used to grabbing your box of cereal or whatever your normal thing was for breakfast. And now I'm having to rethink it. It takes mental energy, right? Next week is going to be easier. Now they came back and said, I am full up to here of vegetables. I want to have a hearty meal. And TJ, I'm really going to pick on you this week. And I said, okay, tell me what it's usually like. His wife said he skipped breakfast. He said he usually has a V8. He said he skipped lunch, but he said, sometimes I eat lunch. And then his wife said, he comes home and eats a big full dinner. Now, TJ, you're the typical American male. It's really true.
Mm-hmm.
And so what's happened is by not eating breakfast and lunch, or very skimpy breakfast and lunch, his metabolism has slowed down to accommodate the fact that there's no energy in the system. And so then when he comes home and eats this gigantic supper because his brain is saying starvation mode, he's overloading his system and actually stressing his system. Now, he's not the only one. How many of you have done that before?
Oh, yeah.
Right? This is a very common American trait of things to do. And we're thinking, well, it's not that big a deal. I can miss a meal. But if you didn't put gas in your car for breakfast, you know, in the morning, and it was on empty, what would happen to your car? You would run out of gas. And has anybody ever run out of gas? How does your car sound when you run out of gas? Does it just stop? No, it goes like this. Cha-junk, 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 right? And do you ever feel like that? You're like, oh man, why does the day go, I gotta go lay down somewhere, right? Are you with me? That is your body saying, not enough fuel. And that is true hunger showing up at your doorstep right there, okay? And so I want you to recognize, what does true hunger feel like? Did you feel it this week during detox? Some maybe low energy, stomach growling at all?
Yeah, sometimes. I actually almost felt more full because I felt like I was eating all the time, and I almost didn't want to eat that much.
Yeah.
So
you can fling around to those guys so it doesn't feel like nobody. So for you guys, it was a sensation of fullness because you were eating all the time.
Mm-hmm. For you, I don't think like some days I didn't get all my vegetables in just because class, and then I went to work right away. So it was like if I didn't have it ready, I just kind of missed it. But then I was hungry because I wasn't eating like what I normally would grab, like a granola bar or something. You know?
So in your car, when you run a fast-paced lifestyle, we really want to see you buy yourself a cooler for the car. Now, other people watching from Florida and everything, they're like, it's nice in that car. Here we're like, that cooler's going to keep the food from freezing. Yeah. Because frozen carrots and frozen celery are really nasty to eat, right? So whether it's cold or warm, get your cooler, have your emergency foods in there. Lisa, you've got kids, right? Mm-hmm. How many kids do you have? 2. Yeah, so you're picking up kids at school and running to basketball or whatever the sports season is, right?
Yeah.
And do you ever find yourself, you got the kids in the car and then you're like, oops, we got to eat. Somebody's got to eat.
Right.
They're at each other's throats.
Yeah.
And there is no time to go home and prepare something.
Right.
So what was your usual modality when that happened?
Probably if they had to eat, probably fast food.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
that's the American way.
Kind of drive-through, yeah.
I need it fast, I need it now.
And they're little, and so it was nice not to get out of the car.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
In the cold, right? Or leave them alone in the car, or take them in.
Right. Yeah. Right.
So I'm either having a hot flash or your mom needs to turn the heat down. I'm like sweating here.
She turned it up.
Yeah, I
You
can
can
tell
just-
the furnace is on. Linda, I'm dying of heat in here. Okay, thank you. I know we're like in the basement, so I'm sure you were trying to be kind and turn the heat up, and it's like I can feel it like
Yeah, right up there.
Yeah. Okay. So getting back to being prepared is going to make it easier for you. Now, Crystal, you work at your family's business. Can you bring your cooler with you? Are you finding?
Yep, I do.
And is that working for you?
And yeah, it's actually working really well. Although I have, I switched and I do the shake in the morning for breakfast.
Sure.
And then I have my breakfast, which is like an egg or something, for my snack.
Sure.
So I kind of switched those two around.
But I'm just so proud of you because you're eating breakfast now.
It's at like 11:30, but.
But previous to this, what were you doing?
I was not a breakfast person. I didn't eat till 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon. So.
And how is that feeling in your system now that we're a week and a half, 2 weeks down the road?
Pretty good, actually. I kind of am looking forward to eating it now. So.
And so we're just going to tell everybody on Facebook, you're actually a younger person in this room. And when you start setting that habit at that stage of life, it's very hard to turn it back when you get to your 50s or 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of the things when we work with menopausal women, we aren't going to say how many are in this room, but it's very difficult to change a habit that's been set in place for decades to start eating breakfast. Sometimes people even feel nauseated. And so that is one of the beauties.
Where I was at.
Yeah, you were nauseated in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I didn't eat breakfast when I was a kid. I just never could eat that early in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm getting there.
So this is tremendous for your body because without eating breakfast, your body actually is stressed. It needs fuel. It's trying to figure out how to adjust to that.
Mm-hmm.
So great for you using the shake as an option. It's easy to get down in the morning. It's easy to make. It travels with you.
I drink it on the way to work.
There you go. So I just want to let everybody know that there is a shaken and bacon with TLS that does a lot of variety for the shakes. Because TJ was telling me, I just am tired of eating the same thing over and over, right? He said, I don't want to eat any more carrots. Good, throw the carrots out. Let's switch over to other vegetables out there. Have you tried jicama yet? Anybody here tried jicama?
Mm-mm.
Great cold on a salad for the crunch.
What's
Great
the best way to
saute.
cut that?
What, say it again?
What's the best way to cut it?
You got to get a really sharp knife.
Yeah.
Then you set it down on and cut away from oneself to
Okay.
peel it.
Okay.
Okay, get the outside off, or if you can cut it in half first so that it has a flat surface to cut away from. Okay, then once you get that done, you want to use a knife with some heft. Can I say that?
Yeah.
You're going to use like a chef's knife.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're going to cut it. I like to cut it in French fry type strings and eat it like a French fry. That's actually my substitute for eating French fries. And I'll put those in a snack baggie because really once you get through a snack baggie of jicama, you don't want any more jicama.
Right.
Would you agree? Once I get through a snack baggie of cauliflower, not looking for more cauliflower. Once I get through a snack baggie of cherry tomatoes, not looking for cherry tomatoes anymore. So if you're eating more than a snack size baggie of carrots, please change it up. All right? Now there's two kinds of eaters in the world I found. There's adventure eaters and there's rut eaters. Okay? Rut eaters, once you get in your rut, you're like, I want to do this. This makes me feel good. You're probably a person who likes control. You're more of the analytic type personality. And this works for me. And if I get you out of your routine, you're like upset. I didn't get my snack. You're like, my granola bar wasn't in the car, right? So just recognize that about yourself and prep that way so that you've got it. Now me, I was in the food industry. I'm an adventure eater. If I gotta eat the same thing for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I'm sunk.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So, like TJ, he's an adventure eater. He's on the video. You got to plan ahead. Did you make every recipe on that short recipe list I gave you yet? Did anybody cook their way all the way through these yet? Go do it. Why haven't you? And, when you're asking me for more recipes and you haven't even done the ones here, then it isn't that you're bored with food. It's that you're not disciplined enough to understand yet that food is for sustenance first. It's not for entertainment. You looked at the list and you go, that doesn't sound very entertaining. That doesn't sound like something I'd like. Well, how do you know?
Or it sounds like work.
There you go.
And we want easy. So it's like, just put on a recipe that's really easy for me to make.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, like I was talking to one of them girls tonight, and it was like, I feel like all I'm doing is cutting up vegetables and cooking, and I'm like, gee, yeah, that's kind of what you're doing right now.
Has anybody found that we've started to save them money yet from going out to eat?
Sure.
Yeah. I know, Nancy, because you're a distance from home, you're in town, and it probably was easier to pick up food.
I don't usually eat out at lunchtime, but it sure stopped me from stopping on the way home.
Yeah.
Said I'd go home.
Uh-huh.
So that's where I had a hard time.
Yep. So that prepping, we're going to save you money. Because let me tell you, when somebody else does the cutting of the vegetables, you're paying them to cut the vegetables up, right? There's no way that even eating at Ruby Tuesdays on their salad bar, as inexpensive as that is as inexpensive as you buying it and you making it at home. So let's get straight about that. Some people tell me, Pam, it's so expensive when I go to the grocery store. And I said, well, that's because when you were paying it out breakfast, lunch, dinner, breakfast, lunch, dinner, breakfast, lunch, dinner, you weren't realizing how much you were spending on the food. Whereas you go to the grocery store and you spend it all in one sum. Do you understand? So I really want to encourage you, stay with the prep. Now, it's not new anymore. We're in week 3, and it's not new and novel, and I want Pam to give me gold stars. So now it's going to turn into raw discipline this week. I'm going to do this, and this is when your why, your picture that you made that's on the cupboard is really going to come into play. Do you want to be around for your kids, your grandkids, for, being able to go on vacation and having all the energy you need? What is it? Why are you doing this? And keeping that at the forefront, that's why I'm making these choices, because of my why, all right? For those of you who are coaches in the room, it's important for us to stay on course because we're leading the way, right? We're trying to set the pace for you. And trust me, after doing this for as many years as I have, it doesn't get any easier when you get out of the rhythm of it. But I promise you, if you stay in the rhythm, it's easier to stay in the rhythm. Does that make sense? Once you set the habit, now our level of what I'm reaching for becomes more automatic for the grab and go bags. It becomes more automatic to make every Sunday night. My husband makes an egg bake. I did it for the first few years. Now he's taken over. Hallelujah. Maybe you could train your husband that. Any other thoughts, reflections, hard times, things that were hard?
Does anybody have any new recipes that they tried?
Well, not new, but when you put on a TLS class back in March, you shared a detox soup, and that helped a lot. So I had something for lunch every day. It was something I didn't have to think about really. I cooked it once. There it was in my fridge. If I needed a quick meal, it was there, and it was get all your veggies in. That helped a lot. And then when I ran out on the last day of detox, and I think that was the day where I was the most irritated, oh, I don't have anything to eat, and then you just want to eat whatever you want in that frame of mind. So that really helped me a lot, but it was really good. Yeah.
So one of the positive parts about doing this at this time of year, warm, comforting foods like soup are really what you're reaching for comfort. So make it ahead. A couple of tips: when you make a big pot of soup, you can freeze individual portion sizes or a couple of day of portion sizes. You can freeze them in Ziploc baggies. You can freeze them in freezer containers. You can even freeze them in mason jars, by the way. And then you take it out, put it in the fridge. It's going to be better going forward. You can do that with your turkey. This is the time of year we all are going to make turkey, right? Please stay away from ham this holiday. Will you lean toward turkey, please? Please stay away from the more white potato. Will you lean toward the sweet potato? It's a lower glycemic index. Now, I get it on Turkey Day. There's going to be tons of turkey. Maybe you should make some little baggies and stick them in the freezer. Because how many of you have turkey for 6, 7, 8, 9 days? And then you're like, turkey's coming out my ears, right? So use it to prep ahead. Put some in the freezer for yourself. And then the kids, there's nothing wrong with eating turkey for breakfast either if that's your jive that morning. Or if I'm really in a hurry, I always have bone broth, like chicken bone broth or beef bone broth in a carton in my cupboard. I'll pour some of that into a pan, and while it's heating up, I'll take out one of those frozen containers of chicken or turkey and just take the plastic bag off and stick it frozen into the broth. And if I've got some frozen veggies, I just slam those in there, and by the time that broth is heated, it cooks and defrosts it and cooks it very, very quickly. Okay, so these are some of my cheats that I do when I'm in a panic and I didn't maybe prep ahead. These are like pantry items, right? My other pantry item I told you is to have that spaghetti sauce in there. I saw somebody had their zoodles, and then they poured spaghetti sauce over it. You could put a little bit of ground turkey in the spaghetti sauce if you wanted. You could even make little meatballs out of the turkey, right? And have them stick together with some egg mixture. You know, I know some of you in your meatballs, you like breadcrumbs. If you could avoid that, but use maybe egg as the binding agent more, that'd be great.
Does anybody make turkey broth too from the soup?
From the leftover carcass
Yes,
after
always.
Thanksgiving. Take what's left, all the gooey parts and the messy parts that some people just throw away, and put them in a large pot and let it simmer. Okay, you can even let it simmer overnight if it's in a safe place, or you could put it in a crock pot, or if you have an electric roaster, just throw it right back in there. Put some water in there, enough for overnight, and let it simmer overnight, because it will literally take some of the collagen and the bone marrow, thank you, out of the bone, which is very soothing to your gut. Okay, I know, Denise, you've got some great recipes for.
Yeah, I can put one on, and I throw the celery and onions and everything, just big chunks of it in there, and then just strain it all off. And when I take that kettle and put it in the fridge and let the grease come to the top and get hard and skim that all off the top, so that I've just got really good broth.
And whatever your favorite vegetable is, there's no right or wrong way to go with that. You know, bay leaf, experiment a little, thyme, rosemary if you like that. I personally don't like rosemary, but even just a little bit of the Bragg's amino acids that we showed last night put in there, it's fantastic. Okay, so experiment a little. If the flavor's not strong enough for you, if you boil it a little longer, it becomes more concentrated down, and you're going to get more flavor out of it. Or put a little bit more turkey in there, put a little bit more chicken in there, right? So, and Pinterest is a great place. TLS has a Pinterest page, TLS has an Instagram page, TLS has a Facebook page. Grab some recipes out of there. Have you found the recipe book yet in TLSslim.com? TLSslim.com resources. Please print it off. If you want to, send it to Staples. They'll spiral bound it for you. They'll even laminate it for you. I find that I think I'm going to open the internet and look, and then when I'm in the kitchen, I don't want my electronic devices to get wet, and the paper is still better for me. I don't know. Maybe you guys are different. Okay, so we're coming up on Thanksgiving. I will post a few things out there. I know that there's a lot of traditions that might make you feel like you're losing out on holiday time if you don't have your certain food group. So what is it, the food group that you absolutely have to have, or it's not Thanksgiving? Just bark it out there. What is it?
Mashed potatoes.
Mashed potatoes. Stuffing.
Pumpkin pie.
Pumpkin pie.
Mine was desserts of any kind.
Desserts of any kind. Potatoes.
Baked rice.
Oh, yeah.
Baked rice
Oh.
for Thanksgiving.
Oh my gosh. We were going to change the menu this year, and my oldest son came up afterwards because I said, we're cooking really healthy this year. And he said, if we don't have baked rice for Thanksgiving, it's not Thanksgiving.
Okay, so
we have a divided family.
Some
with raisins, some without.
Is it a sweet rice?
Yes.
Yeah.
Lots
Okay.
of cream,
Yeah.
sugar, eggs.
Cinnamon and
Oh yeah.
oh,
Oh, yeah.
okay.
So like
yeah.
a desserty baked rice.
That
is
Okay, what
really
about you,
good.
Jossie? What's typical in your family?
When my mom does it, wild rice stuffing, she does the wild rice dressing, and stuffing is the...
Okay, so we're going to talk now about planned indulgences. You're going to pick ahead of time, what is the thing that I just really want because I've made a choice. You want to have your half a cup or cup of mashed potatoes? You
Or
just
3 cups?
half a cup
so
or
here's
cup.
What I'd like for you to have your planned indulgence. If you can cut the portion back a little bit, great. If you can't, I'm even okay with that. But first, I want you to get your TLS nutrition shake in. Okay? Do that first. Fill up on the fiber. Get the fiber in there. Or if you're, a salad and veggie eater, eat your salad and veggie first. And then go and have it, your planned indulgence. Fair enough? Don't eat your pumpkin pie first before dinner. Okay? Eat it after. All right? And why is that? Because fiber is going to slow down the process of how your body breaks down that pumpkin pie, those white potatoes, okay? Because they're high glycemic index foods. Now we're going to talk about the glycemic load. when we take a high glycemic food and we introduce a food that's got a lot of fiber in it, it actually balances out the load so that it's not as quick to break down. It's like this. If I had a fire here and I had some twigs of pine, but I threw an oak log in there with it, the combination of it in the fire is going to help from it just going whoosh and then there being nothing. Does that make sense? Okay. So mix it with fiber first and get that in there so you feel full, because you're starting to understand what full feels like. And maybe the 3-bite rule will work. Your pumpkin pie, you take the first bite. Honestly, I'm going to eat the custard of the pumpkin pie and not the crust. That's what I do to feel like I got... The crust is not as important to me, and it actually makes me feel bad because gluten makes me feel very bad when I eat it. So I eat the custard, and the 3-bite rule actually works. They're big three bites. The first bite, it's in my mouth. It's like, this is pumpkin pie. This is Thanksgiving. The second bite, it's like, I'm getting what I want. And by the third bite, I'm like, I'm good. See if that works for you. Drink more water at Thanksgiving. If you get dehydrated, the temptation to drink or to overeat is stronger, okay? And be conscious of how you're feeling. Now, those of you who lost 2 or more inches anywhere in this core area, I want you to journal how you feel on Thanksgiving Day when you add in these different foods, because losing more than 2 inches anywhere really marks inflammation and probably a food item. And the biggest offenders, once again, are the gluten, like the pie crust, the roll, whatever the case may be. But you know what? I'm okay. Take your core before the meal. Get your fiber in. Have a planned indulgence. I wish you a happy holiday. And one day of a planned indulgence is not going to knock you off course, okay? The other thing I'm going to tell you to do, I'm going to post a chart. We have a chart, and it's going to say how much exercise I want you to do before that meal. Like 30 minutes of walking will equal, your slice of pumpkin pie. And if you burn the energy, then you earned it. Go for it, okay? We have that in our files. Help remind me, Denise, to put that out there, okay? Does that make sense? Awesome. The other piece of the puzzle I really want to talk about, well, your assignment today is to watch the next 2 videos. I've got my notes here. Watch the next 2 videos, which would be improving your metabolism. I got to look at my notes here. I'm sorry. Improving your metabolism. It's 3 and 4. Yeah, week 3 is improving your metabolism. And then I actually want you to skip over to week 10, which is stress. Because this is the time of the year. Black Friday, all this stuff that's going on. So week 3 and week 10 on stress. And that's just a 7-minute video. And then if you have time, watch week 4. That's on exercise. Okay? We've already had some conversations about exercise. Did anybody try out the hip flexor exercises? I posted them on Facebook. A lot of sitting you're going to be doing. Anybody look at them?
I looked at them, but I didn't do any of them.
Okay.
They're excellent.
They are really good. If you have a job where you're sitting a lot, this is as simple as a hip flexor exercise, right? Then we turn and do it this way, okay? You would be shocked after sitting at your desk if you actually go and do this. I mean, even just 5 little kicks this way, what happens to the psoas muscle and how it loosens up. And for those of you with back problems, this is huge, okay? Loosen up those psoas muscles, get moving. I mean, anything as simple as getting up, grabbing the back of your leg like this, okay? And stretching that muscle in there, even for 5 seconds on each side, is going to make a huge difference. Nancy, do you sit at your desk at your job?
I do, but when I do that, I could about die.
Okay. So that means that psoas muscle is very tight. You could try this, Nancy. Find a lower chair, set the back of your foot on there. If you can't do it all the way up here, set the back of your foot there and just arch your back a little bit to get that psoas muscle to loosen. This is really not being in shape. This is being tight.
Yeah.
Okay, and if you don't have back problems yet, you will if you don't get this loosened up. All right?
The cameras will love me.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so these are just some simple things. What I just showed you just now, could you do those?
Yeah.
It didn't take very long, didn't it? And I can tell already after sitting on the plane for 8 hours yesterday, I'm tight in there, right? It's just part of life. They're good stress relievers too. So, as you move through watching those videos, maybe if you have some thoughts or questions, post on the Facebook page. Remember, all these people on Facebook are watching too. In the metabolism video, it's going to talk about why are we doing core. This is a great week to talk about why we're doing core. Because if you do take that core 30 to 45 minutes before Thanksgiving dinner, you are actually going to have that fuller sensation. And even if you eat your potatoes, your body will not be able to absorb that carbohydrate like it did before you were taking core. It will actually decrease an enzyme that breaks down those starchy foods, and it will let it pass through instead of absorbing it all and driving your blood sugar up, okay? And it's going to make you 28% happier. So if you have relatives coming that you don't really like, take your core. Now remember, my philosophy is spike the punch with B complex and fruit, and they'll all be so much happier. I pour acai in there as well, and aloe juice, okay? And everybody, moves their turkey dinner through just great after that, right? All right. So another product we haven't talked much about is Thermochrome. Thermochrome is a thermogenic product that you can take that actually will decrease your fatigue. This might be one of the times I take Thermochrome because, as making the whole meal and you're tired, you want to have the energy. Or if you're going to work out or you're doing the turkey trot for, the race, the Thermochrome works great before you work out, gives you more energy, okay? It works great too. If you're feeling like your metabolism is just not budging and you're feeling tired, it will actually retool your metabolism and get it going again, okay? For those of you who are caffeine sensitive, this is not the product for you. But for those of you who can drink a cup of coffee and life is good, great. You might want to start with just one tablet. It says on the bottle 2 tablets twice a day. I would start with one like at 10 o'clock and one at 3 o'clock and see how that goes for you. But this is pretty amazing how it can work toward helping you to stave off cravings. It helps to build your metabolism. It helps to literally melt fat off your body. It supports getting rid of stored fat. It supports the healthy brown fat. And I think you'll even find that it'll give you the energy boost that you need. If you have high blood pressure medication or anxiety, this is not the product for you either. The third product I want to talk about is CLA. This is for the person who is working out, and this is a commitment product. It really is something, if you're going to commit to taking CLA, it's a 6-month commitment to really see what you're going to see. But it's the only supplement we have that targets belly fat and this kind of pear-shaped fat, okay? It works as a belly fat burner. It's great for building muscle. Even if you're just someone who walks, as well as if you're someone who's in the gym. We've all seen the movie 300 or Ryan Reynolds and their ripped 6-pack abs. This is the product that you'd probably stay on the longest because once you start rebuilding muscle, this is the product that's going to give you muscle definition, okay? And you can take all of these together. Or you can just take one. And if you don't know which one to take, you can go take the assessment again on tlsslim.com, and it will help you to ascertain. I personally, my favorite is ACTS, A-C-T-S, and that's the one I want to talk about this week, and that's what when we talk about stress. Thanksgiving is stressful, whether it's happy stress or not. Axe is my product of choice, okay? Even getting on the plane when it was late, and it's like, I'm not going to get back to Bismarck till 12:30. I had Axe in my purse and took them so that I was a nicer person on the plane, okay? It's got ashwagandha in it and holy basil in it. What it does is actually brings your cortisol level down. I was just having a conversation with my daughter on the phone about this today. That when your cortisol levels rise, you have a tendency to gain weight in this core area. Okay? And that core area won't want to let it go if your stress level's high and your cortisol's high. Okay? So this is why you see some people when they diet, their face gets really gaunt and their necks gets really gaunt and they have these scrawny little legs, but they still have this belly on them. Have you ever seen that? Mm-hmm. Or men. I've seen a lot of men. They've got their beer belly and their belt is way down here, right? Mm-hmm. That can be due to stress. So adrenal, cortisol, thyroid support. It's an excellent product, especially if you already are on some kind of levothyroxine or thyroid support. Synthroid, thank you. I was thinking of that. I couldn't think of it. You're so good, Denise, when I can't remember. The other half of my brain's over there. So we don't eat much iodine in our diet, and that's important to support your thyroid. If you do find yourself just chronically fatigued and you already know you have some thyroid disease in your family, or you're already in that thyroiditis, no, not Graves' disease or overactive thyroid, but an underactive thyroid, you might want to consider taking with your Axe, Oxygen Extreme, because there's selenium in it, and Turnip. The combination of those three together really activate the iodine, and we're seeing really remarkable results with it for lifting energy for the chronically fatigued, okay? So if you know someone like that, or if that's you, if I'm talking about you, Axe, Turnip, and Oxygen Extreme together. And you can do that as often as 3 times a day. Now, I had my house flooded out at one time and I had to evacuate for 3 months. I was stressed. And I was taking 6 to 8 Axe a day to get through that time of life. And it was a miracle. It was actually bearable to live with, all right? So, thank God, I'm back in my house now. Oh my gosh, yes, my husband did just bring the bottle of Axe out and go. It's time.
So you can take it situational? I mean,
yes. As a matter of fact, we've thought about having just samples of it. Like if you're going to have a final test, or your mother-in-law showing up at 3 and the house isn't clean yet, or the kids are having a meltdown, take it then. Okay? And I can really see the difference.
How is it compared to Bliss? Or do we want to talk about that different time? Yeah,
absolutely. So let's talk about Bliss. So funny because Lisa Grant just posted me doing my little blurb on Bliss and Axe. So Bliss is great too, and it's about half the price. And it works really well for anyone that just has anxiety or generalized. When your cortisol goes up, some people they just get screechy and yell at everybody, right? It helps to bring you down. If when you get stressed, you just want to go in your bedroom and shut the door and not come out, it will bring you back out, okay? So it's a adaptogen. It brings you up if you need, or down if that's your modality. And Bliss is excellent for that. Axe has extra ingredients, an extra dose of certain ingredients that are in there. That's kind of a ramped up version of Bliss. And it is the Bliss is not in our TLS line. The Axe is, because so often when you're gaining weight or not healthy, that thyroid needs iodine. Okay, and it needs extra support. So if you're looking for a more inexpensive version maybe to start with, Bliss is a great option, especially if you know your thyroid's under control and it's doing fine. You know, your thyroid doesn't actually blow out until your adrenals are under stress. It comes first from your adrenals. You're being a good German and working so hard all the time, doing your job, and you just start to get fatigued. And then with the adrenals not as the first line of defense, when they start to get worn down, then the thyroid goes, okay? So think, I gotta guard my adrenals. And we all know what adrenaline is, right? It's when the baby's screaming in the bedroom and the 2-year-old threw their glass across the room and the dog's barking and someone's knocking at the front door while the telephone's ringing, right? We've never been in that situation before, right? That is when we're talking about your adrenaline runs. You're like cleaning up, you're answering the door, you're going, just a minute, I'll call you back, you know? And you need to let there be periods of calm after the adrenaline rush. This is all the way life works. You know, adrenaline, then we have calm, adrenaline. It's just that in today's lifestyle, we've become adrenaline junkies and we're running on that adrenaline constantly and the body wears out. So, Axe or Bliss, it's less of a price point. Start there. If it's just not doing it, ramp it up to Axe.
Bliss can also help you be able to go to sleep if you have anxiety and stuff too. It's great to take before bed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So once again, I'm going to mention trim tea because during the holiday season, I don't know why, but when you're sitting in front of the TV watching the football game, you just seem like you got to eat. Trim tea will cut off those cravings. Trim tea is meant to be taken daily for at least 10 weeks. But this week, if you haven't been taking it, I would start taking it. And who told me they loved the Trim Cafe this week? What did you think, Ricky?
It was just good. It was that, I don't know, that coffee taste that I was missing. And I was never like, oh, I have to have my coffee to function in the morning. But just to have that nice cup of like something warm to drink and just that coffee flavor was really nice.
Yeah. And remember, you can mix it in the shake and get that mocha flavor. What were you going to say?
I got to give you a testimony. I just talked to somebody today too. Her husband started on the Trim Cafe when it first came out,
Mhm.
and he just had his blood tests, and he dropped 15 points in all of his levels of
Cholesterol.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and if you want some more testimonies about Trim Tea, Trim Cafe, just go out to Trim Tea Group on Facebook, and there's just buckets of testimony out there. People that have not been able to lose weight for decades, all of a sudden being able to because of those multi-approach mechanism in Trim Tea. As a matter of fact, if you weren't going to take any supplement but Trim Tea, it'd be Trim Tea I'd want on board first, okay? And then Core, because the two of them work so well together. And my third choice is Axe. Now, I know, like, my friend Julie, who's a coach, her third choice, or maybe first choice, would be Thermochrome. But I find as we age, that's a really important piece, too. But you've got to kind of play around with it and see what it is that you want. Having said all of this, one of the best things you can do for your stress, your weight loss, and your health is sleep at night, okay? We can't get through this conversation without talking about sleep. So I pulled up some statistics here. If you have under 5 hours of sleep a night, you increase your chance of having a heart attack by 45%. If you sleep less than 5 hours a night, you increase your chance of having a heart attack by 45%. This study was done on women, and I'm just citing these clinical studies. This is not my opinion. Obesity is more likely if you have under 7 hours of sleep, so 7 or less hours of sleep, and leptin, which is, remember, the hormone that tells you you're full, is lowered when you sleep less than 7 hours, okay? While ghrelin, which is the hormone that says, I'm hungry, is boosted when you sleep less than 7 hours, all right? So if you are going to be cut short on sleep because you just have to get up in the morning and put that turkey in, I would strongly recommend you're taking your Core and your Axe, all right, to counteract what's going to happen hormonally to you. Diabetes is more likely. If you have 5 or fewer hours of sleep, you are 2.5 times more likely to have diabetes. If you have 6 or fewer hours of sleep, you're 1.7 times more likely. So if diabetes is running in your family, a huge piece of the puzzle is sleep. Because when we sleep, if we sleep well, our brain literally washes itself of its impurities, okay? Our body resets. Hopefully our cortisol drops. Now, if you're heavy enough that it's impeding your sleep and you maybe are a snorer or you have sleep apnea, please get that checked. It's jeopardizing your heart health as well as other parts of your body, including your hormone balance, okay? As we lose weight, obstructive sleep apnea actually goes away. Did you hear that? Mm-hmm. There's another kind of sleep apnea that's more centralized, and it has nothing to do with, you know, the physical sleep apnea, but the physical sleep apnea, you should be starting to sleep better, all right? If you're not sleeping at night, if you want to write these things down, here's our few things that we recommend. Take 2 caps of magnesium, isotonic capable magnesium at night before you go to bed. This will also help you to move your bowels. It will also lower blood pressure. It will also help with that muscle tension that wraps up over your head from sitting at the computer too long. Or if you have muscle twitches at night, you twitch when you go to sleep, right? Yeah. Try the 2 caps of magnesium at night. If your bowels get too loose, try 1 cap in the morning and 1 cap at night, just to raise your magnesium level. Magnesium is so important. It's important in over 700 functions in your body. Any things you want to mention about magnesium, Denise, that I forgot?
Well, I know that 86% of the population is deficient in magnesium. It's huge for heart health. I just had a mom recently whose 10-year-old boy started on the B complex and magnesium because he was very hyper. And she came back in a week and could not believe the changes in this child. Just like amazing.
Yeah. So that's our first line of defense. Also, if you already have calcium at home, I put in 1 cap of calcium at night before you go to bed. That's a godsend for me. Think of calcium helps the muscle to contract, magnesium helps the muscle to relax. So if price point's a concern, you could just start with 1 cap of calcium at night before bed. But if you're someone who has a tendency to constipate, sometimes calcium all by itself can be a little bit of a constipator. I don't find that, but some people do. So the combination of calcium and magnesium together are really nice. Our isotonic capable calcium does have some magnesium and some vitamin D in it. So if it's a starting point, you're just looking at price point, or if you have kids that aren't sleeping at night, my grandson sometimes has a hard time. He's always moving around in bed at night. Sometimes he wakes himself up. I just give him a half a cap of calcium before he goes to bed. Okay.
How old can they be?
Well, how old can you be before you eat green leafy vegetables? That's would be my answer.
Really?
Yes,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
because everybody needs calcium to build strong bones. There we go, and strong teeth. And when do you start growing bones and teeth? In utero, right? So mama should be taking it, after the baby's born. Of course, we're getting it from breast milk and hopefully from foods. But if you're seeing some signs of calcium deficiency, you can always titrate back quarter of a cap in, a half an ounce, and put it in their juice glass as soon as they can drink juice, and see if they'll drink it. It's amazing when they're little, 2, 3, 4 years old. They kind of know it. They just have this innate sense of when it's actually going to work good for you. So I wanted to mention sleep. I wanted to let you know the magic number is right in there between 7 to 9 hours of sleep. If you're sleeping more than 9 hours, maybe there's some things where there's some depression or other things setting in. So if you're sleeping more than 9 hours, just more than you stayed up for 2 days, if that's a consistent thing, maybe we need to look at getting more B vitamins in there, more ACTs in there. Maybe it's more of a situational deal where you're sleeping that much because you're deficient in some other areas. So I know you've got your OPC. Keep taking 2 caps at least. You've got your multivitamin. Keep after it. If you haven't added the B complex yet, we talked last week how important that is for mental health and energy. And along with that, now we're talking about calcium. Calcium at night before you go to bed. Magnesium with that. And I'd be remiss if I didn't talk quickly about vitamin D. I think I'm coming to a close here. So vitamin D is crucial. Every cell in your body has a vitamin D receptor. If you're low in vitamin D, especially single digits, you're not going to be able to lose weight. Okay? Next week, or I'll put it up on the Facebook page, a chart on vitamin D. But I want to tell you more than that. On Tuesday night, which is tomorrow, we're going to be doing a Stress in the Holidays wellness workshop. And we're going to be up at St. Gabriel's at 7 o'clock. And for those of you on Facebook, we've created a Facebook page called Moving Forward with Wellness. And you can ask to be a part of that page. If you live at a distance, you can watch it streamed live on Facebook tomorrow night at 7. And we're going to talk about what exactly happens in your digestive system and your colon when you eat all those mashed potatoes and sweet and stuffing and pumpkin pie and pecan pie. And why then maybe are you experiencing some tightness in your chest or acid reflux or raising the head of your bed? And why is it what's happening in your lower bowel where you're having some IBS type symptoms? We're going to graphically look at that tomorrow and just take a look at what could help to turn that around. If you've had some friends that are noticing what you're doing here in TLS class and they're saying, wow, I'd like to understand what you're doing more, bring them tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, St. Gabe's. And we're going to be there having some fun. We're going to have some trim tea and some treats to eat. And the room is open. It's free of charge. It's open to the public. We'd love for you to bring some friends and join us tomorrow night at 7. Take care, Facebook. Stay with it.